All right, guys, what's up? It's the Hawk-Smolen Podcast back at it again here for week number 2. Like I said, we'll be with you every Thursday night right around 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Smolden, are you ready to get into this?
We are ready as ready can be.
All right. Well, we're going to start off with the asphalt street stocks like we do every Monday night. This week's no different. They were at USA International. Pretty big track for these guys. It's a wide track. And, we had a pretty big field here this morning. We had 13 drivers out there on Monday night.
Yeah, we absolutely did. It was a great race to start the week off. It's obviously a nice way to start it when it's a larger track for a street stock race like this. And there was some really good racing out here, to be honest.
Yeah, it turned out pretty well. We didn't have any heat races with it being a little bit bigger of a track, but we did have qualifying. And your number one qualifier looked to be Billy Van Meter back out there for Chaos Motorsports, putting down a time of 22.886. That's pretty quick for USA.
Yeah, most definitely. Billy's always a fast driver, especially on pavement, and it was good to see him come back. Unfortunately, I was in the same race with him, so I was kind of upset to see him back because I knew I stood zero chance of winning out there.
Yeah, and Cole Howard coming in the number 2 spot with the qualifying, and Chris Jones rounding out your top 3 in qualifying. So some fast guys out there early. Some notable guys that didn't qualify so well. In my opinion, you got Corey out there in the Napa car. Didn't really get where he wanted to go. He's normally a front runner in qualifying, but stuck it back there in the 8th spot. How do you feel about him back there in the 8?
Yeah, it was odd to see him back there that far. He might have just missed his spot a couple times. I know I was struggling in qualifying here as well. I'm not sure exactly what my issue was, but yeah, it's odd to see Corey back there that far. And even Beavers, we had a couple guys that didn't qualify also hot.
Yeah, and you look, and it goes all the way down to the 15 qualifier of Derek Sellers, who had his engine blow up prior to qualifying. He was trying to do the saving fuel technique, burning fuel, and unfortunate for him, the 316 starting back in the 15 hole, Smolden.
Yeah, I think he heard some of the league say that we were in the pits prior to qualifying and burning some fuel off. What we weren't mentioning, we weren't redlining the thing to burn off like 20 gallons before we went qualifying. So he's just pinging it off the rev limiter and popped the cherry on him.
Yeah, so unfortunate for Derek Sellers. Week started off horrible being back there in the 15th spot. But now we get into the race trim here, and like I said, these boys loaded up, and they loaded up in a hurry. Race winner definitely out there. Billy Van Meter qualified on the pole, and he brung it home the win there, Smolder.
Yeah, no, it was a great win for him for sure. And just the way this race broke down, for anyone that wasn't watching it, we had a few really fast guys. Obviously, Van Meter being one of them. He ended up pitting, and we had a couple other guys. Derek, for sure, I know did not pit. Was able to save tires and enough to stay up in the top 3 like he did. Second place for Sellers, great. But Billy came through and showed us what he knows best, and that's how to get around a pavement track.
Yeah, and also, like I said, when it comes to Sellers, you remember, he did start in the 15th spot, so he drove through an entire field of guys to get back up there in that 2 spot. And Anthony Monroe coming on board here, racing a couple races with the program and bringing home your top 3 there. And then you got Cole Howard and Chris Jones rounding out the top 5. That's a pretty solid night in the asphalt street stocks.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, Sellers starting in the back. Qualifying session, well, he wasn't able to qualify, so he started in the very, very back, drove himself through, stayed out on one of the late cautions, and rewarded himself with a second place finish.
And also, we're going to jump into the incident points here like we always do with every race that we do. And the guy with the most incident points is up here with me. It's Smolden, man. 20 incident points out there in that street stock. What was going through your head, man?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of hoping he'd skip the incident points on this particular race here. I myself just was in bad spots at bad times. I had guys spinning in front of me. I had Corey spun me out a couple times in this race, which I believe ended up having him removed from the race. It was just I could not be in a wreck. Anybody that was spinning, I was right there next to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And we look at some of the other incident points here, and we look at the notable, the big goose egg up there for William Van Meter. He ended up with 0 incident points and able to bring home the win. So 0 incident points for him. Great race overall at USA International. Once again, Billy Van Meter bringing that race home. And now we're going to head on over to the second race that we do with these guys on Monday night, and that is the 203 Truck Series of yours. And man, I tell you what, Talladega, what a race that was, from qualifying till we got to race trim. Your number one qualifier out there at Talladega, Derek Sellers.
Yeah, this race did not disappoint this week. I was very, very nervous. Obviously, being the super speedway, you have absolutely no idea how it's going to break down for any of us. It was probably one of the funnest races out of the week, to be completely honest. It was definitely my better race of the Monday night, that's for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, notable finishes here. You were able to bring it home in a 2-spot, and you got Jamie Kephart rounding out the top 3 there in the trucks. Very good. And looking through the qualifying list, and we look at the notable guys that didn't qualify so well. You got a Chaos Motorsports finishing qualifying in 7 in the 8th spot with Divers and Van Meter. And then I see Cole Howard down there in the 10. These guys are very quick, capable of qualifying near the top, but you see them in the middle of the pack, Smolden.
Yeah, I mean it's Talladega, right? I mean that's if you see the difference between top qualifier and the top 10, I mean you're talking 0.119, right? I mean you're talking a very, very minimal time difference. So that goes between pole and 10th place. So it's tough. You got to be spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like I said, we worked our way right into the race here, and the winner was Chris Jones. Chris Jones able to bring it home for the Choice Inc. Esports guys, and you had yourself back there in the 2 spot, and Andrew Irwin bringing in that 3 spot there. So not bad for those guys, and some notable finishers out here, like I said. And we're going to go towards the bottom of the pack here, and we're going to have to reach all the way down to the 11th spot, 11th finisher, Joshua Divers, for Chaos Motorsports. You don't normally see him that low.
No, he definitely isn't. He finished, I believe, what does it look like, 5 laps behind. So tough race for him. I believe he got into a couple incidents, got spun out, and then it takes one spin out here, and it's pretty much game over for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guy right behind him finishing in the 12th spot, Jamie Kephart, another guy who qualified 3rd and finishes 12th, and he was 8 laps back. Somewhere you don't see the top tier Choice Esports driver, Jamie Kephart, finishing in 12th spot.
No, definitely not. And he got involved in an early incident, went in. Pretty sure he used his quick repair, came back out, was running some real good laps, coming back, still a lap down, I believe, and then got taken out again. So tough night for Jamie Kephart, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And we're going to look at the incident points here. Like I said, we do every one of them. So the guy that I'm looking at, we have Andrew sitting at 18, but look, Chris Jones wins this race with 16 incident points. How's that happen?
Talladega, baby, super speedway, right? that is the only way that's possible. Coming up through the field like he did, you're kind of bumping, you're leaning, you're pushing. It's really easy to get a couple incident points just by being pushed or pushing the vehicle in front of you. So they add up real quick, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. They added up for Chris Jones, 16 of them, but he was able to win the race there, and that's fantastic. And we're going to look at the guy with not so many, and look at yourself there, one of the lowest guys out here with 8 incident points. Smolden, 8? That's not bad at Talladega, man.
No, definitely not. I was able to. I led quite a few laps here. I can't remember. It looks like 20 laps. So Sellers, I was started on the pole. I was able to get around him, and then I was pushing hard, and I had guys behind me pushing me, up front, and yeah, I got lucky without getting any incidents. It seemed like most of the wrecks were behind me, obviously, because I was leading, so that helped out big time. And it just kind of worked itself out. I really wanted the victory here. It was. If it was not my teammate coming out on the outside of me for that win, I would have most definitely been riding him a little higher up into the wall for sure to make it harder on him for the victory. But because who it was, I had to show respect, and hey, I'd take 2nd place here.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Once again, congratulations to Chris Jones winning the Talladega truck race. And now we're going to head on over to the Tuesday. And the Tuesday, we play in the dirt, Smolden, USA International with the 360s. We didn't disappoint as we get into the heat races, and we love the heat races. And Heat 1 didn't disappoint either. You had a packed house. You had Coy, Jamie, Big Nasty, Valentine, Monroe, and Robert Minks out there, and Coy able to bring it home in that first heat.
Yeah, we obviously I'm a favorite or fan of the dirt. Never mind Tuesday nights. It's fun going back to the heat setups and the heat races like a dirt track, races set up. And yeah, we had a great turnout for the 360 races here. So obviously got some fast boys here with Coy, Jamie, and Kenneth there. So it was good to see everybody show up, and we had fun out there.
Yeah, we definitely did that heat race going over to Coy, and we're going to move over to the second heat race in those 360s. And man, let me tell you, Chris Beavers, Smolden, Derek Sellers, Chris Brown, Flowers, and Cole Howard, another stacked set of 6 cars here. And Chris Beavers able to win that heat race, Smolden.
Yeah, he was fast out there. Obviously, I came in second place behind him, but there was nothing I could do for Beavers there. He was got a good jump, and it was basically me just following him to the end.
Absolutely. And that's going to be your heat races. And then we look at the feature here, and I tell you what, the feature was on point. These boys ran 25 laps out there at USA, and that's a lot of racing. USA pretty big, but hey, your race winner was Smolden. Congratulations, man, able to bring home that win in the 360.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was a very, very tough race. That track got slick real quick, burned in, and it was bumpy. It was very, very bumpy. I want to say in the post race interview, I wanted to say it would have been smoother to run a motocross bike around that track than it was in the sprint car. I mean, the bump out of 4 is always bad, but even coming down the front stretch, down and coming into 1, if you weren't in the right spot, that car was bouncing, and it was very hard to get that car to set and just turn around the corner for you. But yeah, I was glad to bring home the checkered flag, and that was one of the better races out of the year for so far for the 360s. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Chris Brown finished right behind you, and Valentine, who's normally dominant on the asphalt side of things, able to bring his dirt skills out and finish in the top 3. Some notables that I see here in that feature is Chris Jones back there finishing in the 10 spot, qualified on the pole. Man, you don't see him back there often. Chris Jones very quick in these 360s.
No, he was starting on the bottom line like that or on the pole. You're on the bottom row, obviously. It's very tough at USA here. So trying to get around and trying to stay up high where the fast lane was at. I do recall him trying to. It wasn't a terrible slider, but it just would not stick, and he just, he ass packed the wall, and that was his night. So tough, very tough night for the fastest guy we have on in a 360 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Somewhere you don't see Chris Jones in the back there. Now we're going to look at these incident points for the feature, and your main guy right here, Cole Howard, racking up 16 incident points in 24 laps. That's quite a bit of action there, Smolden.
Yeah, he struggled mightily here at USA in the 360s. It was unfortunate. He was frustrated with himself at the end of this race. Some bad luck, but still 16 points. That's quite a few.
Yeah, absolutely is. And then the man with the least amount is going to go to Chris Brown, who finished just right behind you and only getting 2. So that's not bad at all. And we take a look here at one notable thing I want to point out here is the guy that finished 8th. That's Jamie Kephart. Not really known too much for his 360 racing, but he lays down the fastest lap in the feature at a 19.764. That's pretty impressive for not really being up there. You know what I mean?
No, he the 360s definitely aren't his car. He loves dirt, but 360s aren't his forte, I guess you could say. But he quick, and then he also led. I think I want to say he led about 16 laps out of that as well. So it came down to the end, a late caution with a few laps to go. Me and him were 1-2, and we pretty much checked out on the field. Third place was a ways behind us, and that caution came out. He had to start on the inside. I started on the outside, and he ended up tapping the wall with a couple left to go, and that's wrapped up his night.
Yeah, definitely did. He was up there. He was quick. So that's going to be the 360s wrapped up there. Now we're going to head over to the second race of the night, and that's the dirt big blocks. And, man, let me tell you, Heat 1 was a dandy. We had Chris Beavers out there, Big Nasty, Chris Jones, Chris Brown, Salvador Flowers, and Stephen, man. And Chris Beavers able to win that heat. That's a pretty stacked heat.
Yeah, most definitely. This is when I came back up to the booth after the 360 race. I was trying to collect myself here, but these guys put on a show. That is most definitely for sure. So it was good to see Beavers out front and Chris Jones in the third.
Yeah, very good. They did a great job out there. Now we go into heat number 2, and you got yourself Jamie Caphart, who won that one. And you got Jess Gordon in the 2, Cole Howard finding himself in the 3, Derek Sellers in the 4, Wyatt Walker and Valentine and Monroe round out your 7 spot in the Heat 2. Anything interested there?
No, I mean it pretty much stacked out the way it should have been with Kep up front, and a couple fast guys, but it was a good heat race.
Absolutely. Now we're going to run into the constellation. These boys had so many big blocks show up. We had a B main, and in that B main, we had some fast guys that didn't quite make the feature. They had to run through the B main, such as Chris Brown, Derek Sellers, Valentine, Flowers. These guys are known to be racing on the dirt, and they're used to being in the A main. So to be in the B main, definitely not where you want to be. But a couple of these guys were able to advance, and Chris Brown able to win that B main, Smolen.
Yeah, it's always nice. Unfortunately, when you get stuck in a B main, you come out and win it, and then show some dominant laps. You get a couple extra practice laps, I guess you could call them, and make it to the feature. But some notable names, like you said, in here that you normally don't see in the B.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the guy that got sent home in that one was Steven. Steven packing it up and getting ready for them pro late models. Then we moved right into the feature, which didn't disappoint either. Coy winning the feature in the big blocks. Jamie Kephart finishing in the 2 spot. Chris Beavers in the 3. And once again, I see this name back here in the back, and that's Chris Jones, man, finishing 9th. Things not going his way so far at USA International, man, and there's no way you see Chris Jones in the 9th spot.
No, and it's tough. You normally don't see him this far back. Obviously, these aren't his number 1 cars, but either way, he's got quite a few laps in these things, and then not exactly where we would have thought he would finish at the end of the night.
Absolutely, and some notables here in the back of the pack here, finishing in the 11th spot, Jonathan Flowers. So he moved up a few spots from where he started in the 14. But like I said, some of your notable guys, man, Derek Sellers, Chris Brown, and Salvador, not finding themselves on the podium once again this week. So they'll have to tighten it up, Smolen.
Yeah, I mean it's only 1 week. It's a long series, but they're disappointed in themselves. So next week should be interesting. They're going to come back with we're trying to recover from this week, obviously.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Now we're going to head over to the incident points here, and man, not too many to talk about here. We only got 10, and that leads them all. That's Wyatt Walker with 10 incident points. Not bad at all. And we look at some of these top 3. Now here's some interesting facts for you, Smolden. 1, 2, and 3. Your top 3 drivers, 0 incident points.
Yeah, it shows why they were up there. Those guys basically were up front and just kind of checked out this race, and it was nobody else's race besides their race to win. But either way, overall, very good job to everyone in this feature here. I mean, there are a couple guys point out with the 10, but that's still not bad for these cars here. I mean, you lean on these guys and you bump and you move and you grind a little bit in the big blocks. So, it's part of the racing itself, but to only get 10 out of it, and like you said, top 3 guys getting a goose egg, that's absolutely good race, boys.
Yeah, you love to see it, and big shout out again to Coy for winning the big blocks at USA. Now we're going to head over to the 3rd race of the night, and that's the Dirt Pro late models, and these guys put on a show also. We qualified them and put them out there on the track, and your number 1 qualifier was Jess Gordon, showing up late to the party on dirt night.
Yeah, I want to say he barely made it to even qualifying. I want to say he almost timed out of even getting into it. So for him to come out here and put down a burner like he did was good to see. And he showed us what he's able to do.
Yes, he did. And we look at some of these guys in the middle of the pack. Jamie Kephart qualified 6th. Chris Jones again qualifying in the 8th spot. Like I said, I don't know what the trend is, but I'm seeing a lot of Chris Jones, and I'm seeing him in the back half of all these dirt races in qualifying. So, I don't know if his wheel was broke this week or not, but hey, shout out to Chris Jones. You got to get yourself up there, man. I'm calling you out. Chris Jones this week so far. I'm seeing your name way too back, Smolden.
Yeah, it's very, very odd to see him this far back on, multiple races. A race here and there, okay, it happens, right? So I don't know if that 360 race just shook him a little bit by qualifying up front, getting into, some incidents early, and maybe it just threw his night off. It's possible, right? It's easy to do. So, but yeah, normally you don't see him back there.
Yep, Jonathan Flowers able to qualify in the 10th spot, and like I said, these guys are running hard there in qualifying. So we'll head over to the race. The race was great, 25 laps. Your winner was Jess Gordon, led all 25 laps, never looked back. Coy finished into 2, Jamie Kephart into 3. Anybody you see rounding out your top 10 there, where they maybe shouldn't be, or where you think they could have done better?
Jones, maybe. I just think qualifying like how he did, and then as fast as the guys in front of him are, I don't know how you would expect him to come through the field and beat some of these guys, even being on dirt. But when you qualify that bad, it's always tough. But no, I think it kind of broke down the way it should have. Jess Gordon was dominant out here. I mean, he could have held a beer like I do half the races, and wheel it with one hand. It looked like. So it was a pleasure to watch him come out here and dominate this race.
Yeah, and I want to put in a quick note before we get into the incident points here in the Pro Late Models. I look at Wyatt Walker, qualified second, finished 10th. The race did not go his way, Smolden.
No, most definitely did not. I don't recall exactly what the issue was. I want to say someone got into him and sent him to the wall. I could be completely wrong on that, but yeah, it was a tough night, especially when you qualify near the front, especially in the 2 spot. To be 3 laps down and finish 10th is always a tough way to end the night.
Absolutely. Now we look over at the incident points and we see Jonathan Flowers taking that spot here tonight with 14 incident points in those big blocks. Pro Late Models taking 14 incident points in the Pro Late Models. Holden, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, and it obviously stands out, right? I mean, he's the only guy in double digits, and that's by far the only guy in double digits. So, bad night for him. It happens, but yeah, I hate to see it.
I definitely hate to see it. And we look at the man with the goose egg. That's Jess Gordon. He won the race and led every lap, had the fastest lap, and ended up with 0 incident points. So big shout out to Jess Gordon and his team over in the California club, taking everything you could possibly take in the race day. You know what I mean, Smoller?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're a second and a half in the lead the whole race, it's hard to get an incident point when there's nobody around you. You're just out there just cruising around by yourself. So hell of a race.
Yes, it was. Now we're going to move over to the last dirt race on Tuesday night, and it's the dirt street stocks. We took them out, we qualified them, and the man to come out on top in qualifying was Chris Beavers. And let me tell you, he out-qualified Jamie Kephart by a .001. That is incredible, Smolden.
It's unbelievable that they can even time that close, right? Like, how do you do that? I don't get it. I mean, and for Kephart, thinking he's got the pole to only come up that short, like, I don't know where you say, okay, oh yeah, coming out of 4, that's where I lost that time. Like, no, that's impossible to know where you lost that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Jamie Kephart, very dominant with these dirt street stocks. And like I said, very surprised to see anybody above him when it comes to any leaderboard with dirt street stocks. And big shout out to the guys over at Flowers Motorsports for having a driver such as Chris Beavers to be able to get to that level ahead of Kephart, even if it's only by .001. Hey, you're trending in the right direction in my book.
Absolutely, especially in these cars. We all know what Kephart's capable of doing, and if you can beat, even in a practice session, I'm happy with beating Kephart, right? Like, I'm good with that, let alone qualifying or anything above that. So, yeah, absolutely.
And when I look down the qualifying list, somebody looks like they could have qualified better. I want to put Flowers on call. Flowers qualified 7th. I felt like he could have done a lot better. And also his teammate, Coy, in the 8th spot. And like I said, anybody you see out there?
I think the only one that really, really stands out here would probably be Coy. We're so used to seeing him show up and have a fast car and not just fast, but almost dominate to where it's like you almost want to ask him questions like, hey, man, how are you going so fast? But street stocks might not be his forte, I guess, maybe. But yeah, it was odd to see him qualify there that far back.
Absolutely. And now we go into the race and where the racing was great all night long, and it came down to the finish, and what a finish we had. Jamie Kephart taking the win, leading 29 laps of the 29 laps completed. He led every lap. He laid down the fastest time with a 26.935. And, man, it finished with 0 incident points. I mean, your top 3 guys, and I know I jumped ahead with the incident points, but when I see Jamie Kephart, Chris Beavers, and Wyatt Walker, your top 3, and I look down to the incident points and I see goose eggs, that really gets me going, Smolden.
It stands out, and for anyone that isn't used to running dirt, it's almost impossible to finish a race without 0 incident points, especially as close as these top 3 guys were. I mean, Kephart dominated this race, obviously, led all 29. But still, like your slide jobs and especially here, you're running the high line. You are on that wall constantly. So to be able to get around here and not even touch the wall once without an incident point is unbelievable.
Absolutely. When you don't get a 2X or you don't get anything like that, man, it's great to see. And like I said, that made me very impressed to see those goose eggs on top. And then the man with the most incident points. And when I say the most, it's not that many. I mean, you can almost count them on one hand. It's 8 incident points, and that goes to Jonathan Flowers. And like you said earlier, when you're sliding these things around and you're beating and banging, it's dirt street stocks, man. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what these cars are designed for, is to get beat up a little bit and beat around. And 8's not bad. It's definitely higher than the rest of the guys out there, but we got a 6 in there and a couple 4s, couple 2s. So yeah, an 8's not terrible. And I don't think that was from actually wrecking anybody. That's probably most self-inflicted by hitting the wall and, doing that stuff by himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, big shout out to Jamie Kephart and the Choice Inc. Esports guys over there bringing home the win there in the Dirt Street Stocks USA. So that was fun with the dirt, and we move over to the next day, which is Wednesday, and we start off with the Bull Metal SK series, and they were running over at Southern National. Great track. It was a clear day, 80 degrees. It was feeling pretty good over there, and we started out with heat number 1, and Derek Sellers was out there racing, got into an early accident, and looks like he got into the back of one of those guys, but he was able to bring home the win. Derek Sellers heat race win, and the first one there, Smolen.
Yeah, it was good to see him bounce back. He had a tough Tuesday, I think he had, and then to come back out here and jump back out front at heat 1, it's good for him.
Yeah, good to see Cole Howard finishing in the 2 spot. You got Adam Herr in the 3, Robert Hughes and Jordan rounding out your top 5 in that first heat there. And we went over to heat number 2, where you found Billy Van Meter. You normally don't see him out there running in the SKs, but he came out to play this week, and he took care of it, winning heat number 2. And Chris Jones right behind him, and Joshua Divers in the 3, and Keith back there in the 4 spot, Smolen.
Yeah, see Billy come back out. I think after missing a few weeks and him finally getting back into racing action, he was just wanting to race anything he could. So it was good to see him back out here, and good race out of him.
Absolutely. And then we headed into the feature, and like I said, the Bull Metal SK, we like to call it the entry level into the tour mods, and the big dogs like to come out and play. I mean, it's no different than what it was when you have the Cup drivers that like to come down and mess around with the Xfinity guys. You know what I mean? You're going to have it. And that's what we had here. Brad Carpenter shows up, dominates it, man, looking good from start to finish. And, he led 16 laps. You had Billy down there leading 14 laps. So your big hitters in the tour mods, your big hitter overall in the league, coming out to play with these guys. And Brad Carpenter able to take home the win there in the SK, Smoller.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's still a growing league here, obviously. The top 6 guys are the ones that go right back up to the tours, right? So you got Carpenter, you got Cole, you got Jonesy, you got Billy, you got Divers, you got Herr. All those guys are running the top class as well. You'd like to see a couple other, more rookie guys coming into this series, but I think it's growing pains. They'll eventually be there. But yeah, it's always nice to have the veterans with the rookies, because then the rookies can really lean on the veterans and just see what they're doing wrong or potentially ask, and they learn from the veterans.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about, man. I love to see the veteran drivers come out here and help these rookies around the track, and try to help them out the best you can. Notable for me here, looking down the list here, and I got to go all the way down the list, Smolden, and that's the 10 spot. Derek Sellers finishing 10th, 4 laps off the pace of the feature, and he qualified 2nd. Not sure what's going on with that out there.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I was not able to watch this race, but yeah, finished dead last, 14 incident points. So I'm guessing some of those incident points are the reason why he finished 10th. 4 laps back, qualifying number 2 spot though, and finishing where he did. That hurts. That is, it hits the heart real hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see those incident points, and they racked up to 14, and glad you were able to get that in there. Now we're going to look at the least incident points, and it looks like Chris Jones may have figured it out. He struggled on the dirt at USA. He said, hey, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get some sleep, get some good rest, have some good fucking Australian food. And he came back out, finishing 3rd with 0 incident points. So good job, Chris Jones, able to recap and regroup himself, Smolden.
Yeah, he had a very tough Tuesday. Looks like he came back out here for some kind of redemption, probably just for himself, not necessarily from the field, but it's good to see him get that third spot.
Also, Joshua Divers, we want to throw him out there too. You had 0 incident points. That is a fantastic job for 30 laps and an SK modified. So great work again. Brad Carpenter taking that win in the Bull Medal SK modified. So we're going to head on over to the big boys, and that is the Choice Inc. modified tour. They were ran over at North Wilkesboro. Beautiful clear sky day, 70 degrees, and the track was just heating up. Chris Jones went out there again and put in a dominating performance right after he got done running the SKs, and he put down a burner in heat number 1, winning it out there. He had Noah Schaefer, Adam Herr, Keith, and Anthony Monroe in his heat, and he did a great job. What do you think, Smolden?
Absolutely, and I want to say he probably used the race prior for maybe a little bit of practice. He knew he probably needed some practice coming out here with some of these fast guys, and the way, like I said earlier, how his Tuesday night was, he wanted to come out here and redeem himself. So good for him. It was a nice heat win.
Absolutely. He did a fantastic job. Chris Jones winning that heat 1. And then we got the other heavy hitter, Billy Van Meter, coming out in heat number 2 and laying down a performance, winning it. Joshua Divers in the 2, Nick Bradham back there in the 3 spot. Jay Bones in the 4, and the 5 is going over to Cole Howard. And you got to remember, in these heat races here, I didn't mention it in the first one, the top 2 guys advance in each one of these. So, those guys were able to move. Nick, Jay, and Cole in this heat had to go to the consolation. So tough break for those guys, Smolden.
Yeah, it's very notable that Nick did not make the feature right out of his heat. But in all fairness, if you look at all 5 of these guys in this heat right here, and you only got to pick 2, damn, that is tough, right? Like, that is almost impossible. Like, you got to get up front. You either got to start up front and stay up front, or whatnot. But I mean, if you look at it, their starting positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
pretty close, right? I mean, it's right there, 1, 2 for sure. So it makes it tough if you're not starting up front to try passing. You're only doing it in 5 laps, right? I mean, this isn't a long race at all. I mean, by the time the green flag waves, the checkered flag's coming out, basically.
Yeah, you got to get up there and you got to get going early. So they were able to get that going in heat number 3. Derek Sellers and Jordan were able to get up in those top 2 spots. Looks like Derek Sellers got his dequalification out of that heat race. That win went to Jordan. Guess he got into an accident earlier in that race with Brad Carpenter, so they pulled his heat win and gave that to Jordan. What's your thoughts on that, Smolden?
Oh, wow, that's tough. It's part of it, though, right? I mean, that's why admins go back and they look at the race afterwards, and sometimes it happens. You got to stay clean while racing. If you win because you wrecked someone, that doesn't mean you won, right? So.
Absolutely. So big shout out to Jordan, able to take home that Heat 3 win over in the Choice Inc. side of things. And like I said, that was a packed heat. Also, Derek, Jordan, Rick, Brad Carpenter, and Chris Beavers rounding out that heat there. And we're going to head into the consolation. And here's some names that you don't see in your B main. And I'm going to start off with the top guy, Nick Bradham, in the consolation. This guy has 7,000 I rating, Smolden.
It's a very, very large high rating, that's for sure. It's not, you see them out there in officials, and you see guys out there with these high I ratings, and it's like, man, I am glad. Or how do they get it that high? One, being good and racing a lot. But at the second, thought of mine comes out, it's like, I'm glad I don't have to even ever worry about racing with these kind of skill level guys. And then here he comes into the league, and boom, he's showing his way. It's very odd to see him in the consi, but like I said, that heat race that he was in and not qualifying well, he did not qualify well at all. I want to say he qualified like 15th or something like that, which is shocking to see out of Nick. So he shot himself in the foot right off the rip tonight, and was able to get the victory out of the consi though, and that. We'll talk about it here in a couple seconds, but yeah, that led to one thing after another.
Yeah, absolutely it did. So Nick able to win that consi, Adam back there to 2, and Keith rounded out your top 3. A few great drivers that did not make the cut. The line cut at Cole Howard and Jay Bones and Chris Beavers did not make the race, and those are 3 guys that you expect to be in your A main, Smolden.
Most definitely. This one hurt the Choice Inc. Esports team for sure. You got a couple teammates there, plus the team owner, getting tangled with one another. And hey, go home, you go home. It is what it is.
Absolutely. So we move on now from that. Shout out to Nick for taking care of business in the B main, and we get ourselves into the feature where these boys had to go 50 laps around North Wilkesboro, and they did it in a great fashion. And we're going to break it down and get right to it. Nick ended up coming all the way back from the 8th spot there, and man, he did it, and he won it. Nick won the race, Billy in the 2, and Chris Jones rounds out your top 3. And man, let me tell you what a race they had out there. And we look at some of these notable guys here in the back of the pack here, and I'm going to start off with Mr. Valentine. He's also a guy with 5,000 some I rating. Qualified number 1, Smolden, finished 10th.
Yeah, so we'll break down this race a little bit here. For Valentine, he qualified first. He led a lot of laps. He led 46 of, 50, I believe this race was?
Yes, sir.
So very, very high percentage of the laps he was leading. I want to say with a lap or 2 left, he had to come in to pit for fuel. We were actually absolutely shocked in the booth when he had to go down. He actually called it over the race radio saying he was pitting. And I almost spit my beer out, to be completely honest. That's how shocked I was. I mean, he was dominant this race. Very fast, clean racer. A couple of the guys up front it was one heck of a show. We had a couple cautions. I think there was 3 cautions total in this one, but for the most part, it was good, clean racing, and it was fun to watch.
Absolutely. It was definitely a blast to watch. And like I said, same with Brad Carpenter. Brad Carpenter had to get fuel also. And once these guys went in to get fuel, they obviously lost a lap. And looks like Derek Sellers also fell into the trap of fuel because he qualified 4th, finished 11th. So your top guys that were up there, you're 1 and 4, finishing 10 and 11. You don't normally see that, Smolden.
Most definitely don't. Bad luck out of them, but complete opposite sides of the story when you're talking about those 2 guys right there. So it was unfortunate for one, and the other one probably deserved where he deserved to be.
Absolutely. And now we're going to take a look at the incident points, and they racked up big time here for Adam Herr. 15 of them there for him. But that's no match for what we see down here. Brad Carpenter, you got to go at the bottom here, but he laid down 21 incident points. Brad Carpenter, what's going on with him, Smolder?
I don't know if he thought this was maybe bumper cars this round here. I'm not sure exactly what was going on, but yeah, he was just beating the dog snot right out of that tour car. I mean, it was unbelievable. 21 is brutal when you got a lot of guys around you with 0, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And like I said, we take a look at some of the notables up here with 0 incident points, and that goes with Billy Van Meter, 0, Chris Jones with 0, and Valentine with 0. And like I said, I mean, it shows you it can be done. And 21 to me in a tour mod is, man, you tore that machine to hell, Smolden.
Yeah, I don't know if he was just trying to maybe catch his car number, which is 31. I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking here, but he was close. He was closer to his car number than he was 0. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So big shout out to Nick again for winning it, coming back, working his way through a horrible qualifying, getting into the B main, winning it, and coming back from the 8th spot to win it in the Choice Inc. Modified Tour at North Wilkesboro. Big shout out to you. And then we do it all over again, and we get the cars lined back up, and we bring out the Chaos Motorsports Pro Late Model Division. And boy, let me tell you, these guys were burning it up out there. Your title sponsor right there, Billy Van Meter, laying down quick time and qualifying, and he laid down a 20.547. Very quick. Jess Gordon back there qualified 2nd. And Rick Kelly, like I said, we haven't talked about much about Rick Kelly all week, and sure we're going to get to it here, but Rick Kelly qualified 3rd there, Smolden. Any notables you see in the qualifying list of where they could have been better?
No, nothing really stands out to me. Obviously, Billy being up front. I mean, there's a reason why his team sponsors this league or this series itself. Maybe Sellers. It is the paperclip though. I mean, so it's tough. You got guys that might be fast in these cars, but then you put it at the paperclip, and it's basically just it's a coin flip on who might be better than the other. Tough track, very tough track to get these cars around.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you on that. I see Sellers being a lot better than a 11 qualifier. So we'll see what happens here as we moved ourselves into heat number 1. We let these boys have some heat racing here at Martinsville, and Jess Gordon said, I'll take the win in heat 1. Adam Herr in the 2, Chris Jones in the 3 spot. Jordan back there in the 4, and Anthony Monroe round out your top 5 there in Heat 1, Smolden.
Yeah, seems about right. You got Jess up front, her in the second spot, Jonesy in the third, and then the rest of the field after that. So not a bad heat.
Absolutely. And then we went to heat number 2, where Rick Kelly found himself a heat race win. Joshua Divers into 2. Jay Bones back there in the 3 spot. Cole Howard in the 4. And 5 was Derek Sellers. Any surprise there?
No, not at all. Kelly had a really good race there. He jumped up front, or started up front, and led all 5 laps and brought it home with checkered flag, and onto the feature we go.
Absolutely, and this is where the fireworks happen, man. Billy Van Meter brung home the win here at the Paperclip. Gordon right behind him in the 2 spot, and Joshua Divers round out your top 3. And what I've seen happen in this race here, we had a few drivers in the back here didn't quite get the job done as they wanted to. When we start back here with the action with Rick Kelly getting thrown out of the race late, Smolden.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. He knows the rules of the league itself. I'm sure he's aware of it, but we can bring it up to attention to everybody else that getting on the race radio and complaining about a race incident will never work out, no matter who you are. And Kelly's been here longer than I've been. He knows. It's unfortunate. It's the heat of the moment. You get mad, but you cannot hit that race chat and complain about an incident. We look at, or I don't, but Nighthawk looks at every incident and every race afterwards, spends hours after the races are done, and you guys are most of you probably already in bed, because I know I am. I turn my crap off. I go straight to the bed. Nighthawk's up, clicking buttons, reviewing stuff. Let him do it. He knows what the incidents are. He sees it while it's live. He'll go back and check everything out. It's easy as that. Just let it be. And you won't be in the situation where like Kelly's at. He shouldn't have ended up in 10th spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%, man. You said it there. Like I said, the rules are there because they're the rules. You know what I mean? We don't try to pick on guys. We don't try to bully guys. The rules are the rules. And, Rick Kelly went across it. And unfortunate for him, he was removed from the race. He went 6 laps down. He had a great car. He qualified 3rd and bringing it home in the 10th spot. And we look at another guy in the back there, very quick, Cole Howard, finishing in the 11th spot there, Smolden.
Yeah, he struggled, obviously. I don't recall exactly the incident itself, but he did not have a good showing here in the feature at the Paperclip. So unfortunate, but he'll bounce back, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and then we're going to take a look at the incident points here, and I can't count them all, even if I do my toes, my hands, my ears. I don't think I got enough body parts on me to give you 26 incident points that Anthony Monroe racked up at the Paperclip. That's a lot, but it is the Paperclip, but 26? My God.
Yeah, I think that's the highest we've had all night, obviously. But I don't think I've seen 26 in quite some time. That is a lot. He was just bouncing off of pretty much anything he could bounce off of. He was most definitely struggling. He's going to have to hit the practice track at Martinsville to possibly figure this out, because this is not his track so far.
Yeah, 26, definitely not your track, especially when you got your leader, Billy Van Meter, who won it, and Jess Gordon into 2, and I'd love to see it. Like I said, them goose eggs right there, man. 0-0 for William and Gordon, and man, like I said, great race for them, and congratulations again to Billy Van Meter winning it at Martinsville. As we now head over to what we just got finished up, Smolden, the Winter Cup Series over at Michigan International, practically your backyard.
Yeah, I do live close to this track. I go to this, we used to go to 2 of them every year, but now it's just 1. It's always a good time to get out to Michigan. It's more of a boring race to watch probably, but as a racer out there, it's a great track. It's fast. There's a couple different lines. Tires wear off real quick, and it's always a joy to get out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got qualifying underway, and these boys were rolling. We gave them 4 laps to get around Michigan, and Mr. Gilbert himself found the fastest lap at a 38.900. Chris Jones came in that 2 spot in qualifying, and Jamie Kephart found himself in the 3 spot in qualifying. Notable to me, seeing some of these guys in the back where they did not qualify where they should have qualified, in my opinion. I see Billy Van Meter back here in the 12th spot. Last car on the roster board. Billy Van Meter not where he should be, right?
No, definitely not. I was shocked to see him that far back. I thought maybe he'd probably have a top 5 or 6 car. some of the guys up front, obviously, we expected where they ended, but I was shocked when I seen Van Meter all the way down where he finished.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another notable, like I said, I see Derek Sellers. Like I said, the guy had a phenomenal week last week. This week seemed to be struggling a little bit, but he'll hopefully get it turned back around. He was recently signed with Chaos Motorsports earlier this week, so congratulations to him again. And he finds himself in the 8th spot. Smolen, is that where he should be in these Cup cars?
I believe this is the first time I've raced with him in the Cup car. I don't know for sure. Tough qualifying, but like some of these other Cup cars, especially qualifying on the larger tracks like this, there's such a minimal room for error, and only do it in 4 laps. I mean, 4 laps is a larger qualifying session than most, but you usually burn them off in the first 2 laps, and then your 3rd and 4th, you're kind of running your race line at that point. So, yeah, it happens, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one more thing I want to talk about here in this race. Lloyd Moore making a return. He took a couple weeks off, but we found him back here tonight in the Cup car. So good to have you back, Lloyd Moore. And man, like I said, it's a pleasure to have him on the track. He's a great racer. I know at times he can get frustrated about certain things, but it's good to have the veteran back on the track, Smolen.
Yeah, absolutely. No, when his name popped up, I was glad to see that. It's always a pleasure to have the guys that come back or race on a normality come back and actually race again. I'm not sure exactly what the break was for, but hey, it happens, right?
Absolutely. Now we get over to the racing side of things here, and man, let me tell you something. I've seen some of these times go across the board, and we just mentioned Lloyd Moore, and I want to put this out there, Lloyd, if you're listening, and I hope you are. Lloyd Moore ran the fastest time of that race, a 38.286. The fastest lap came from your 8th place finisher, number 6 qualifier, Lloyd Moore.
That is a burner, a 38.2 around here. Obviously drafting, possibly being pushed a little bit, but that right there is a hell of a fast lap.
Absolutely. And like I said, good to see Jamie Kephart ended up bringing home the win, but it was a tight finish. Him and Gilbert nail-biter at the end. Gilbert just missed him by .018, one of the closest finishes that we've had in the Cup Series so far. So it went Kephart, Gilbert, Divers, your top 3. And like I said, I looked down the list here at some of the guys that should have done better in the race. And at the bottom of the list, I see Billy Van Meter. And what happened to Billy from what I saw up in the booth was an accident with him and Adam. Adam came down low and ended up taking both of them guys out. And with it being in the back of the track, no caution was thrown. And, well, we didn't have a caution the whole race. We went 30 green flag laps, which nobody expected. Guys were pitting. Guys were thinking they were going to need to get fuel, and that never happened. And, I mean, like I said, shout out to all these drivers in here to be able to go 30 laps at Michigan International and not get one yellow flag, Smolen.
No, it was a great race. Obviously, I was in the car, so you've seen more of the action of being up in the booth than I was able to see. From what I heard over the radio, there was a incident with Adam and Billy. Unfortunate. It's part of racing at times. It shouldn't be, but, it happens. Very shocking to see Billy back there, but, when you get doored, and it's hard to bounce back from that. But yeah, 30 green flag laps. It was fun to be out there, and unfortunately, I didn't finish where I wanted to be, but hell of a race for the top 3 guys, especially Jamie. Fuel strategy came into play, and that is why I finished where I was at, because I played it completely wrong.
Yeah, like I said, it happens like that sometimes. The luck of the draw, you never know when them cautions are going to come out and how the drivers are feeling going into it. So, once again, big shout-out to Jamie Caphart and the Choice Inc. guys over there getting it done once again this week. Jamie Caphart bringing home the win in the Winter Cup Series at Michigan International. Now, Smolen, we get to the favorite time of the podcast here, man, where we get to pick the studs and the duds throughout this week in the league, man. And let me tell you, we're going to pick one from the dirt and one from the asphalt. And let me tell you, you're going to start off this week and you are going to be taking the dud. And I want to hear who your dud is for the dirt.
Before I do this, I want to say last week we did the stud and the dud, and all week long, all I heard out of every race or every series that you obviously put on here, every single person I talked to was like, man, I got to do better this week. I do not want to be the dud. Like they're like, we don't even care. I don't even care if I get the stud. I just don't want to be pointed out as the dud. So obviously these guys care. They're trying their best not to be the dud. But this week for dirt, I got to go Chris Jones.
All right, Chris Jones taking home the dud in the dirt. And I'm going to take the stud this week in the dirt. And I'm going to tell you right now, my guy for the stud of the week is going to be Jamie Kephart. I'm taking Jamie Kephart on the dirt, man. He succeeded in everything he raced in this week. He had a great run into 360s. Unfortunate what happened to him, but you look at some of these other races from the big blocks all the way to the pro late models, man. Jamie Kephart, my stud in the dirt. Now, Smolden, who is your dud in the asphalt?
My dud in the asphalt is going to have to go to Sellers. Very, very tough week. Just got signed down with Chaos Motorsports, and I don't know if it was the pressure of maybe being on a new team and just trying to prove himself and show off in front of his team. I'm not sure, but man, he really struggled. I don't expect that to happen again. I feel like he's going to pick his game up a little bit, but yeah, Sellers is the dud of the asphalt this week.
All right, and the stud of the asphalt that I'm going to pick this week is going to be Billy Van Meter. He came back strong this week, and I look at it from the beginning of the week. The man came into the street stock division, won it, took number one qualifier, went out, almost beat Nick and all them boys. Very tough on the modified side of things, and like I said, I'm going to take Billy Van Meter as my stud on the asphalt this week, and congratulations to all of the studs and the duds. And like I said, guys, we're not pushing you guys. We're not hating on you guys. It's all for fun, and we're having a great time. And Smolden, it was awesome, man. I appreciate you doing this with me every week. And you got anything you want to say, Smolden, before we head out?
Hey, it was another fun week of racing. I appreciate being up in the booth with you. I appreciate you doing or having me here for the podcast as well. I appreciate you having me out on the track at times. And yeah, the stud and the dud thing it's fun, right? It's bragging rights amongst our whole group of our racing family here that we have built or you have built. And it's good times, right? I mean, I literally just picked one of my teammates for the dud on the dirt. So not only am I going to hear it when I go back to camp, but at the same time, it's the fun of it, right? Like, we're not picking on anybody. We're not doing anything. And in all reality, this is a damn video game, right? So we just enjoy coming out and having fun with one another for sure.
Absolutely. And I'm going to end it with this. Nobody wants to be the dud. We'll see you boys next week. Have a great week in racing. We'll be watching you, studs and duds.